Long ago, nestled between emerald hills and golden fields, there was a quiet village where life moved slowly and simply. In this peaceful corner of the world lived a humble beast of burden. Not just any donkey, but a determined, loyal creature named Baro. Baro was not the fastest nor the strongest, but what set him apart was his unwavering dedication. Every morning, long before the first light touched the rooftops and the birds began their songs, Baro would rise. Without being called, without being urged, he prepared for the day. With steady steps and a patient heart, he carried sacks of grain, bundles of vegetables, and jars of milk from distant fields to the market, never once complaining, never once stopping. His owner, a man named Joran, was a farmer whose success relied heavily on Baro's labor. He came to trust the donkey more than anything, even more than his own strength or tools. Joran knew, as long as Baro walked, work would get done. One day, after another long and dusty afternoon, Joran approached Baro with something shimmering in his hands. A golden bell, polished and radiant. He fastened it gently around Baro's neck and said with pride, "This bell is for you, Baro. You are the heart of my farm. Let this bell ring so all may know your worth." Baro's eyes lit up. He had never received such recognition. As he walked, the bell chimed sweetly. Its clear, musical tone echoed through the village and over the hills. People turned their heads to see the donkey with the golden bell. Children pointed, elders smiled, and Baro's heart swelled with quiet joy. From that moment on, the bell became more than a gift. It became a symbol of value, of purpose, of identity. So Baro worked harder. He stepped with purpose, making sure the bell rang with each stride. Its sound was not just a noise, it was proof that he mattered. The more it rang, the more he believed he was fulfilling his role in the world. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Baro never slowed, not through the summer heat nor the biting winter winds. And Joran? He began to listen for the bell. It became his measure of productivity. If he could hear it ringing through the fields, he knew Baro was working. But something went unnoticed. Baro's legs grew weary. His back ached from the weight. The spark in his eyes began to fade. The bell still rang, but it now masked the pain he carried. One evening, as the sky was painted in hues of fire and amethyst, Baro finally stopped. On a grassy hill outside the village he sat, not out of laziness but sheer exhaustion. His legs trembled, his breaths were shallow. The bell still chimed softly with the breeze. An old ox named Hale, who had spent many seasons watching Baro from afar, approached slowly. "Why do you keep going, old friend?" Hale asked with gentle concern. "You've carried more than most ever could." Baro looked down, his eyes heavy with emotion. "If I stop, the bell will stop. And if the bell stops, so will the world's memory of me. I will become invisible." Hale nodded slowly. Baro, the loudest bell often hides the quietest suffering. Don't let the world's noise drown out your own voice. You are more than the sound you make. But Baro, loyal and proud, could not stop. He believed that the bell defined him, that without it, he was nothing. And so, a few days later, Baro collapsed. On a morning like any other, under a pale blue sky, he fell beneath the weight of his burdens and could not rise. The bell gave one last faint chime before falling still. Joran came running. At first he was shaken. Guilt flickered in his heart. He knelt beside Baro and whispered, "You gave me everything." But then he looked at the bell. It no longer rang as brightly, no longer announced labor, no longer served a purpose. And so, without a word, Joran removed it. Just like that. As though removing the bell somehow removed Baro's worth. The village animals watched in silence. Hale lowered his head in grief, as if mourning more than just the donkey's fall. mourning how quickly the world forgets those who give the most. The moral. In life, at work, in families, in society, there are many like Baro, people who work tirelessly, whose value is seen only when they're at their peak. Their bell may be their results, their achievements, their output, but when they grow tired, when they need rest or recognition not tied to performance, too often the world turns away. We must remember this. Your value is not defined by how loudly your bell rings. Your worth is not in the weight you carry, nor the noise you make. It lies in your spirit, your humanity, and your existence, even when you're quiet, even when you rest. And for those who lead or depend on others, let this be a reminder. See beyond the sound. See the soul. Recognize not just the effort, but the exhaustion. Respect not just the noise, but the silence that follows. True strength is not the ability to carry forever. True strength is knowing when to pause, to heal, to be seen, not just for what you do, but for who you are. Final words. May we never measure ourselves, or others, solely by productivity. Let us create a world where people are cherished not just for the work they do, but for the heart they bring. Let Baro's bell be a lesson, not a warning. Not all silence is weakness. Sometimes it is wisdom.